Friday's AGM, or part AGM as it turned out, relations between Celtic and the fans are now at a new low in terms of the modern era. It seems that every few days just now brings with it its own drama, and as it stands it's hard to see a genuine way forward. On the park, we're still without a manager 4 weeks on from Brendan Rodgers' resignation, with the club facing a relentless run of fixtures between now and the turn of the year. Miff, welcome back to Celtic Exchange Weekly. The floor is yours, take it away.
Hello Tino, hello James, hello Paddy, hello listeners and viewers. It's obviously get a bit of a new setup here, Tino. I'm taking a bit of getting used to it, and also you've not got the headphones on, which means it's weird hearing us just normally.
I don't like that
as well. But anyway, don't want to digress too much, Tino. I know you don't like that. Again, I'm just back to probably what I've said. It all feels so needless. We were probably at a point where there was a wee bit of intrigue approaching the AGM, where you were a bit like, I wonder what was going to happen, but I don't think any of us would have foreseen it to collapse really in the way that it did, and I don't necessarily think it reflects well on anybody really. I don't think anybody's coming out it's really smelling of roses.
I asked the question towards the end, I think, of last week's show. The three of us were on, and I says it'll either be F all or fireworks. I didn't have this new bracket up here because whatever that was on Friday, James, it was beyond fireworks.
Illegal fireworks.
Yeah, the way I looked at it was, right, I think the collective and all that stuff that we backed from the start, it's needed more than ever. But you'd have to be honest that the anger was starting to dissipate. A couple of wins, you beat Rangers in the semi, O'Neill steadied the ship. You certainly weren't as angry, I mean I probably was, but most people weren't as angry as they were, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, kind of thing. So there's an opportunity for the board and for Desmond there to go, right, let's harness that and try and, bring them into the tent. And they've just went boof. And the anger is way beyond, probably beyond what it was at the start. So I don't know who's let him go rogue. Well, the answer is himself and his dad. We're at the mercy of rogue operators.
And also, if you just keep speaking to people like idiots, then they're going to get angry.
He's probably thought, no, these guys they need to hear from a billionaire's son about what they're doing wrong. That's the answer.
So, first question of the day, big question. In the immediate aftermath of the AGM, done a bit with Gordon Duncan on Sky and spoke at that time, just my initial feelings coming out of the room, that I felt that Ross Desmond had gone rogue. I don't think Ross Desmond or Dermot Desmond are the kind of lads that run their notes by anybody. I really don't. And could you imagine had he said to Michael Nicholson and Peter Lawwell, this is what I'm going to say, what do you think? I don't think that would have got sign off, but maybe it did. I really don't know. But my gut feeling, Paddy, is that he has gone rogue. He's acted with impunity, and he's just gone all out and said he's just let it all out. Whatever he's been feeling in the last few months, and there was no way that was going to be met with a positive response.
No, absolutely not. And I think it just adds up to show how fractured it looks between the board and this shareholder as well. It's very dysfunctional. And I think when you think about the statement that has came out there, the fact that Lawwell has introduced the AGM to the room, that's been met with what it's been met with. You've not heard from Michael Nicholson, you've not heard from Mackay, apart from the two videos that have been put on show. And then you've allowed something like that to happen. Whether or not you're going to read what's going to happen, there should still be a bit of a better setup in terms of who's going to speak that day. To go ahead with something like that to begin with and not know what Ross Desmond was going to say after what you seen what his father released 15 minutes after an official club announcement.
Yeah.
Why is a shareholder and the son allowed to be able to come out and speak to the fans like that and treat us like second-class citizens in terms of what he said and how we are viewed upon from the board? It just shows you how broken it is. It shows you how lost it is. And actually, the worrying thing is that if this is the anger and the display from Ross Desmond, and he is backing his father to the hill there, then the next step is that Ross Desmond's not going anywhere. If he feels he can get away with comments like this, not have any pushback from any of the current board members, then the Desmonds are there for a long time, and that is a real worry for Celtic supporters.
As long as Ross Desmond is anywhere involved in Celtic, his words, unbridgeable, will follow him as long as he's there.
Yeah.
Telling the Celtic fans that Europe is unbridgeable should result in 0 tickets for any European match for as long as they're ever involved. Why would you bother? This is unbridgeable, it's unattainable. No banker came out with something close to years ago, but I just thought it was horrendous the way to speak about it.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the biggest concerns is that that was a real opportunity for Ross Desmond and the kind of board as a collective. Ross Desmond at that point was the less heard of. You know, we hadn't really caught much of anything by him, and he had a real chance to come out and say, speaking on behalf of my father, blah blah blah. We accept things haven't been great. We know there is a lot of tension, and rightly so, and we've got things wrong, blah blah blah. And today, here at this 2025 AGM, this is the first step on uniting the fan or whatever, you know, using those kind of terms to get things back on track and accept that we're not in a good place, but we're going to work together to get in a good place. And I've said it on a couple of occasions since now, he had an opportunity to broker peace or he had an opportunity to pour fuel on an already raging inferno, and he's gone absolutely for option 2.
Aye, and there just doesn't seem to be any willingness to mediate in this at all. It's became it's a chasm that exists between both sides, and the problem with that is there's just that constant conflict for us as fans, because why do we do it? Why do you do any of it? To go and watch a team. Just to go and watch a team, support the team. And it always comes back to that. But these things getting in the way, unnecessary is the word that I keep using, and that statement, that speech, if you want to call it that, was so ridiculously unnecessary. I mean, who looks at the overall situation and decides that's what's needed? It's almost this. It's this contempt. I keep going back to this. They think that we are just.
They're shitting their shoe.
Yeah, they think that we are just, you know, away out living rurally in shanties and just waiting to go to the Celtic game and match day, and we've got nothing else going. We've got nothing between our ears. And to speak to, and you need to remember as well, fans are paying customers, but that room was actually full of shareholders.
This is people that own your company.
This is people who have put their hard-earned down formally to be part of the company, the overall company, never mind the team, the overall company of which you're a custodian. So that sort of language and that tone, I just think it's ridiculous. And that in itself, if that's the tone you're going to take with not only fans but your fellow shareholders, and then if you add in the bit about Europe as well, that's a sacking offence.
Yeah. If you could sack him.
If you could sack him.
But he's also contradictory where he's saying, and he's backing up Mackay's puff piece as well, where they're saying we need to hold the cash because we might make an arse of it, right? Absolute nonsense. But also, 18 months prior, Peter Law's chairman's statement says we recognise the inherent inefficiencies of holding cash. 18 months between those two statements that completely contradict each other. So which one is it? We know you're just coming up with some nonsense here to try and alleviate yourself from the problem.
And this is why we have no faith in them, excuse me, as a group.
Is because we won't see that.
Who's responsible for the statements? Who's responsible for the plan? Who's responsible for the strategy? Nobody really knows. It's so ad hoc.
It's lawless.
Now, you compare that with events that have happened across the city today. I hate to bring them into the discussion, but in terms of accountability, you know whose job is what, and then who carries the can for it. If things don't go right, it would appear Stuart and Thelwell have done that today.
If they were working with autonomy, yes, they get fired for performing poorly with autonomy. Celtic's exec aren't performing with autonomy.
But that's what
so
I mean.
How can you fire a guy when you told him to do the bad things that he did?
That's what I mean. We aren't. It's not fully transparent as to who is responsible for what, and it's always falling back to the one direction, and that's to the Desmonds.
Somebody summed it up well in a piece that was doing the rounds on Twitter in the last night or two, and it was that we've got executive non-execs in the shape of Dermot Desmond and otherwise, and non-executives in the shape of Michael and Chris Mackay, who can't really make decisions by the looks of it, and that is so topsy-turvy and so dysfunctional. I'd have to ask Paddy, when Ross Desmond and or his father were preparing those words, surely going into a meeting, such an important meeting, one of the first questions you'll ask yourself is, what are we looking to achieve from this meeting? What's the objective? What did he think would be achieved with that? Did he think that at the end everyone would stand up and roundly applause and go,
we were
geez,
wrong.
You've nailed it, Roscoe?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
But absolutely there's an element of fracture within the fans as well, because there's a lot of people that are saying that everything is okay, and actually we need to take a step back and realise how far we've come on as a football club, the successes that we've had over 25 years. I think what a lot of people from even the collective stance, for example, are trying to say is that we're well aware of the dominance of Celtic and Scottish football, but it's the breakdowns that we seem to have. And I say it every week in this show, the build up to the breakdown of the 10 in a row team, and Ange came in and had to salvage what Neil Lennon was effectively given as well, to be honest. Yeah. But then the build up of this Brendan Rodgers team to where that's at the end of the Ange era, effectively, when you look at some of the players that are still with Celtic. And that's massive signs that it's just not been run properly when you're not releasing players at the right time and reinvesting in new players and new talent and hoping that they come good. We're now at the point where we're phoning players and saying, by the way, you can't sign for Birmingham tonight, or by the way, you can't sign for that team in the Bundesliga because we've not done our homework and we've not got players ready to go. It's really, really poor management again. And I think that on the basis of what the next steps are, we've struggled to put an agenda out for an AGM on Friday. That shows you how the planning is completely out the window.
What do you mean by that?
We've struggled to put an agenda in that has been a right structure to the right way that it should be delivered. We've tried to go down one route, it's failed completely. They should have been well aware, and they will have been aware, that there was going to be a voice and a louder voice, however it came across on Friday from the collective and others involved, and others showing that there's disharmony. But the fact is that there is ways around that. There is messages that can be put out. That this could have been a more civil situation. There's going to be disrupting factors, absolutely. For me, if you cannot organise that, then there is something fundamentally wrong at the base of everything.
I think that is actually inherently the issue, is that what played out in Friday was as a result of that fracture.
Yeah.
Fans, board, and also how it would appear that we've actually lucked out rather than having a strategy to get to this point.
Yeah.
The reason that the fans are being so vociferous is because the dominance that you mentioned, Paddy, we see that as being under threat. If we don't have our house in order, and you don't look to continually progress, then what will happen is those breakdowns that Paddy mentions, you're actually welcoming them. You're creating a cycle.
Yeah, because you need.
That's a self-fulfilling. When really what you can do is you can be progressive. And it's sport. See, at the end of the day, it's sport. And what can happen in sport is you can be no very good. Another team can beat you. Another team can get their act together. And they're well within their rights to do that. However, for us, what shouldn't be the reason for the breakdown or the failure is us not being progressive and us not having our house in order. And we seem to be welcoming in that on and then taking reactive action.
Correct.
Once it goes wrong.
Yeah.
The question that the Celtic board and owners can't answer is your umbrella for everything. Are you doing the best that you possibly can within the resources at your fingertips?
It's ambition.
World-class basics, bro.
But the answer is, like, every single one of them would need to answer no to that. We're not doing everything when they put the power.
But they're saying yes.
But now we're in a position
It's
where
mental, isn't it? It's mental.
we're in a position now where, the coefficient's down and we're going to have to play all these qualifiers and you're losing the Europa spot. But Chris Mackay is moaning about that. It was like, it was you that caused that.
I
It was you
thought
that caused that.
I was just going to bring that up. So the 15, 16-minute video, which was the cause of some concern to Jeanette Finlay and others during the meeting, and you can debate whether it should have been played there or after, but most of us have now watched it. And it is the kind of puff piece you would expect. What a year we've had on and off the park, blah, blah, blah. But you're right, when it comes to Chris Mackay, you can hear the conservatism in his words. Is that a word?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
going with it. You can hear how conservative he is because he's saying, I know we've got money just now, but you need to be careful, Jerry McCulloch, because now in 2 years' time, and the coefficient's in such a
how
state
did that happen,
and it's like we are the cause of the coefficient. Us getting beat by Kyra Almaty and teams like that.
Did you not see? Did you not see the wee
bit.
banners we held up with all the names? Maribor, Malmo.
Yeah, Legia Warsaw and all these teams.
man.
So we've caused our own problems. So we have played a massive contributing factor to the coefficient. Scotland's coefficient struggling. So it's a bold move to be moaning that. But then he's saying, you know, and in 2 years' time, if you win the league, you face 3 qualifiers, and the second place team might struggle to get into the Conference League. So it's basically his way of saying, so we're just going to close ranks and just play it really, really safe. And the whole thing, the whole overarching thing, and a massive part of why we all of a sudden find ourselves where we are, nobody wants to go and break the bank. And just to stress, we know we've got 77 million. Nobody wants to spend 70 of that on players. We just want to push the boat out just a wee bit, or at least a wee bit more than what we've done. And that lack of ambition, I think that's the crux of the whole matter.
He also said within that piece, that's exactly lack of ambition, but he said within that piece, as if, shut up, we went and broke our transfer record twice, and it was like, that was also, you need to believe me, that was also because you fucked up your negotiations.
Yeah.
If you'd negotiated Ida and Engels correctly, you wouldn't have broke that. So their incompetence, he's now using as a badge of honour to say, what you're talking about, we broke the transfer record. What they're creating is an implosive strategy, and it just goes down and down and down and down. And it was also unnecessary.
Would you see it as managed decline?
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Not my unnecessary. Behave.
Completely unnecessary.
Is it? No, I don't think they're as forward thinking as to give it managed decline. You just wouldn't do that, you know.
No.
I think it's just.
But they have
shitebaggery.
Aye.
But they have under Lobel when Rangers were defeated and deleted. Thank you.
Get that on a t-shirt.
Comments going to like that one.
But the big thing for me on that was we spoke about it. We were signing Colin Kazim-Richards, we were signing Carlton Cole. We had no dreams of trying to qualify for the Champions League. We had near beat on at centre half how many times in all those years, even under Brendan Rodgers, even when you look at the Dyla years, it was Europa League's fine. It's all good, we'll just manage it. They knew what they were doing then.
So they deny that they fear having no competition in Scotland. They deny that.
Yeah, because
I think it's true.
100% they did. 100%. Now this is it.
Just to push back on that then, how do you feel Scottish football would be? I tell you what, we did experience it, right? The Ronnie Dyla years were Rangers free. Mm-hmm. It was awful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I liked it.
No, you didn't.
I liked
you didn't.
Them not being around.
Because
Barak with Castle.
It was great to win the league, as always, but you really had very little competition. You had a wee bit of Aberdeen, a wee bit of was maybe Motherwell at the time, were kind of half decent.
How many trebles did we win?
Not enough, but was it as exciting as beating Rangers in the semi-final the other week? Just to ask that question.
No.
In years, listen, I totally get that at the there and then in terms of those seasons, right? And in years down the line, we'll look at the trophies we won, right? And we'll not even think about I bet it wasn't a strong Rangers. We've not been a strong Celtic over the years in football history. What I'm meaning is that the fact is they took the foot off the gas completely. They told Neil Lennon, you're not getting any more money to sign players that are going to progress us in Europe. That's that. We sat.
Neil Lennon left because he felt at that time was the lack of ambition. What was that, 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
2014.
So this is just continuing.
Yeah.
This is just continuing. I heard a guy on Super Scoreboard weeks ago, just after Rodgers had left, and he was trying to get everything out, and it was 25 years of Peter Lawwell. It really was. So even talking about, you're never replaced Jan Bennegood of Hesselink. You're replacing with Morten Rasmussen.
I heard that.
And he's bang on the money, but because that is the DNA of the club. Yeah. That's the DNA of the club. It is continuation.
Does all trace to Lowell's
of course it does.
Accountancy.
It's not going anywhere.
That is the footprint or the fingerprint, should I say.
Bank balance is good. Bonuses are good. Yep. Shareholders are happy.
And it's an accountant, it's the whole market. An accountant is good accountant.
Graham Spears, listening to his podcast the way over, and he said, the two options are Rangers' business model, defeated, deleted, or Celtic's business model of just keeping it all tight.
Aye.
There's mystery option C's everywhere. There's Bruges, there's Midtjylland, there's, take your pick.
So I listened to that, I thought it was interesting, right? So it was Graham Spears playing devil's advocate and all that stuff. And he was speaking to Stephen McGowan, now of the Herald, and Andrew Smith, former Celtic View editor, now of Celtic Underground. And it was Steve McGowan that made a really interesting point. He said, at the end of the day, what you've got is, he doesn't deny that the Celtic board are fans and all that stuff, and they want to see the club do well in the same way that fans want to see the club do well, but they are coming at it from completely different angles, and there's a serious disagreement on how Celtic should move forward, and that's it. So I don't think anyone's thinking they're self-sabotaged by the club, but Celtic as a club's way of moving forward is completely different to how more or less everybody else would do it.
Just on that point, sorry, Paddy, if I can just jump in there. So when you say that fracture, right, and we've spoke about Desmond, the board, Lawwell, Nicholson, Mackay, take the fans out of it. Do you think they're all in disagreement? Do you think the board are?
Board?
With each other?
Yeah. But with each other, do you think Lawwell, Nicholson, Mackay are on the same page? Do you think any of them are on the same page?
Lawwell's touches what Desmond wants, and what that wants, the rest of the board nod along and pass through.
Yeah. I don't think there's harmony there, because you've got execs that can't do their job at the end of the day, and it's like, it might be that a Michael Nicholson or Chris Mackay or anybody within the exec team for any given matter say, let's do it this way, great, that's a good idea, just check with Dermot, and Dermot says, absolutely not, and you're all just banging your head off a brick wall.
So you're basically just an absolute patsy sitting at the front to take all the pot shots.
Facilitator.
You would say that.
But then look at the amount of contradictory statements as well.
Yeah.
You know, like there's
been
so
loads.
many over the
There's
last
been
6
loads,
weeks.
there's been
It's
loads.
insane.
There's been loads.
We're all
But
pals.
again, this is
Wild.
going back to...
There's nothing wrong, but we admit there's been mistakes.
Aye.
We've done nothing wrong.
But we've done nothing wrong, shut up.
Ross will tell you all what's happening. Everything's all right.
So let me ask.
Ross has prepared a statement. Oh.
I know. Oh, right, okay. Just quick toilet break, lads.
So, I done a recording after the AGM with Paul John from Axum on Friday, and I said as part of that, if I was given a magic Celtic wand or a magic Celtic genie and you'd
I'd buy
3
it.
wishes, well, let's hear if you would do it. So, if you had 3 wishes and you could do anything, you could make any decisions in Celtic world right now, what would your 3 be? With a view to trying to fix this impasse that we found ourselves in.
out of retirement. It would be just
What do we one
structural,
each? Hold on, one each.
Right,
Pick your one, you take one, I'll take one.
structural change with a view to progression. And when I say progression, I don't just mean in Europe. I just mean
Modernise.
a modern, not strictly analytics based, but accepting.
It sounds like business speak.
The
Just give us some
movement, the progressive movement there's been in football in the past 25 years to implement something like that at Celtic.
Do you know what was bizarre? Amongst the madness of Ross Desmond's words, and I don't know how long he spoke for, 5, 6, 7 minutes, he did at one point mention that the club would be embracing data analytics and other modern practices. So maybe something like that is underway.
I think somebody said, put data analytics in there, just say something about data
We're
analytics.
told that they've been doing this already.
Say
why
we've
is that-
signed Tony Bloom.
Why is that not happening? We've been told that this is already happening, so why is he
Were we
saying...
told that?
Yeah, we've been told that we're working off a database,
Well, even
data-driven
something-
structure for under Ange.
Even something like Y Scout and the other things that are
we do
available in
use
there,
that.
right?
Exactly,
Right,
but that's
Right,
that's
on the
the
things that are
everyone's got
available in
that.
there. Everybody's got
But-
these things and these resources, and they'll all be working off like a champ manager style sort
Kind
of
of, yeah.
database and all those types of things. But no doubt that's thrown up all these different things. We play in a very defined way. Normally, just because of the way opposition play against us, our playing style is almost pretty much predetermined.
Wait till Wilfried comes in.
What you then want is I know.
We'll break
King
you down.
Things. What you then want is what players are really going to augment that. And it seems to me that bizarrely, despite knowing how we're going to play and what type of opposition we're going to face, we don't seem to link that in with what the overall strategy is, because there's a hell of a lot more misses than there are hits when you look at our spend over the past 10 years.
So just quickly, in short, what is your one wish?
I'd employ me.
Right,
Employ.
but out with that.
No, I would I'd just a more
Modern,
progressive structure,
data-driven
embracing various different elements, including analytics.
Right, okay. Pete?
A proper transfer model where, you know, like, players that have a shelf life.
Aye, it's got a complete cycle.
Brighton,
100%.
Brighton-esque.
Yeah.
You've done your 2 years, thanks very much, time to go.
This is where we're falling short. It's one thing, Matt O'Reilly's a great example. Bring him in for 1.5 million, get 2.5 great years out of him, put him for 25, and the missing piece of the puzzle is replace him with a £6 million player.
That's easier said than done, and I'm not...
But it's still been
doable,
attempted.
isn't
Well,
it?
maybe if you're
Absolutely.
paying nearly £1 million a year, you should be able to do that.
100%. And what? See, I know you're going on to James's third wish, which will be
I might
an
not.
absolute beezer.
I might not.
You're not giving him it?
No.
Wow.
It's pretty straightforward.
I feel for you, mate. But the thing for me, in terms of the data-driven side, every modern-day football club, every professional setup has that at their disposal. It's how you use it.
Yes,
and
yes,
that's Celtic's biggest issue.
and that's kind of my point as part of that structure is you're embracing that rather than
There's banks of analysts in clubs that use this properly. We've got probably 1 or 2 guys.
We've got Tosh McKinley as a scout. No offence to Tosh,
I
but
mentioned last week.
free somebody with an alley fit across. We'll shoot you,
good one.
I should say I'm in the boardroom.
I mentioned last week the book, the audio book, How to Win the Premier League by Ian Graham, and it's just my hot topic. I've not quite finished it just yet, but there's loads of interesting stuff in it, lots of Brendan Rodgers stuff and how he didn't embrace data and all those things. But the guy, Ian Graham, he's talking about when he started doing this in, I think, 2009, with Spurs, done it for 3 years, and then into Liverpool in 2012. You're talking 15, 16, 17 years ago, and we're now just saying at an AGM on Friday, and we're going to start embracing data analytics and data-driven models. We're well behind the curve, because I don't know where Ange was at on it, but I think managers like Brendan Rodgers and Lenny and others have just went, nah, the eye test, I know that
Jump
guy,
for
he'll do a
goalposts.
job for
Listen,
us.
I don't mind the eye test, you know. I don't mind the eye
To a
test. But
point.
what I'm
You've
going
got
to
to
say
merge
is,
the two.
when you mentioned about the shelf life, Ange sat in a press conference and said you need to get used to saying goodbye to your heroes. That was part of his
We accepted that.
5 years ago.
implementation of You know, especially when you were bringing in players from
Don't
different
fall in love with
continents.
these guys.
You know, that has to be part of the model.
Yeah.
And then it all seemed to get shot down after 2 very progressive windows. That seemed to get
Yeah.
But what
shot
happened
down.
to shoot it down?
The return of Pistol.
Pistol and East Boy. The thing is, so that was tried, and I mean no harm to Mark Law because I think he was giving a Shannon a brief, right? But the nepotistic elements of Celtic will always be mistrusted by Celtic fans, given what we went through with Kellys and the Whites and all that stuff.
Really so.
I can imagine Mark Law seeing Ross Desmond going, I guess it's going to go well for you, bro. Do you know what I mean? I tried this, they'll shoot you down.
I also think just while I remember, see this constant benchmarking as a club and it gets referenced, whether it's kind of subtly referenced, you know, you can see what happens to other clubs. See if we keep benchmarking against 2012 Rangers and 1994 Celtic, you're never going to progress.
You become them anyway.
You can't keep looking back and going,
So
we don't want to do that.
You're benchmarking against
They're
losers.
also
they're
actually
winners.
having a pop at modern day Rangers because they have every season's a loss. They've done okay in terms of Europe lately. Again, they got the final obviously 5 years ago. Quarterfinals in Europa League last season as well. People forget that as well. Their model, albeit it's kind of throw everything at it, it's now coming under a bit of structure with the looks of it, where this group have taken over. But the thing is that they've shown what can be done and shown that it's still sustainable and still able to float as a football club. And
They've lost £180 million.
no, but what I'm talking about is that the size of what they are in terms of where they are at the moment is still attractive for a consortium to come in and say, yeah, we can manage that. Celtic need to kind of release it a little bit. We are far too conservative. I'm not saying we're throwing everything. They've not spent their money wisely, completely, but they've still managed to progress in Europe.
And that's the thing. Nobody wants us to just go hell for leather. Nobody any of us speak to.
Steps every year.
We just want to push the boat out a wee bit.
And we'll try to pull rank here, but I really want to hear what James says.
I know.
I could have just skirted round it, but let's hear it.
You,
What is your magic wish?
It's the easy one. You
Can
got
I
to
see
get
you waving your wand when you're done? Thank you.
You got to get Desmond out. Nothing changes as long as Desmond's involved.
I agree
it's
with
got
that.
to be a sale of Desmond shares to a progressive. And if they were Celtic minded, great. If they're not, but they're progressive, that's okay. There's danger inherent in that. You look at the spite move that Desmond McManus made on Man U that they've never ever recovered from. So just punting Desmond shares isn't the answer. It's who they get sold to. I put it this way: Fergus McCann would never put his boy on an AGM to talk on his behalf, right? So what McCann designed for Celtic has unravelled, and we've ended up flipped back to a nepotistic dynastic model that was never the plan. So that's got to be put structurally and changed that can't happen again, and we've got to have progressive owners buying up those shares.
So I believe when Fergus McCann sold up, when was that, in 99 maybe, he deliberately didn't offer all his shares to Dermot Desmond, who wanted them at the time, but Fergus McCann was trying to spread them across the fan base, but there was investor fatigue at that time, and that's why Dermot Desmond hoovered up some shares. Brian Dempsey spoke a few weeks ago on Frank McAvenny's podcast, and what we are seeing just now, Brian Dempsey said he was surprised this hasn't happened 10 years ago. You know, all the kind of stuff we're seeing, because Fergus McCann, to the best of his ability, tried to leave the club within a certain kind of model of fan ownership, but we're far from that just now. We've got, I mean, you can use the word dictator or whatever, but you've got one man calling all the shots, and that's where we're at. You talk, obviously we've been hypothetical about the magic wand, the genie, and that wish. As simple as that wish is, it's probably the most unrealistic of all, isn't it?
That's why I need a genie to achieve it.
Aye, because I don't think, and on the back of Friday, Dermot Desmond and Ross Desmond are going nowhere. They might always have been going nowhere. I think now they double, treble, and quadruple down on that.
Everyone's got a number.
Maybe
I don't know a number.
When you've got 2 point something billion, have you got a number?
Aye.
What's the number? 3 billion?
2.7 billion.
I would say, and not to finish in a sour note with this, but I would say that statement really put a big bit of fear into me.
But the thing is, I know that they care because they're, skins of rhinos, these guys, but they are pariahs at Celtic, and they must know this. Pariahs. You actually saw Tom Boyd in the director's box at some game, and Desmond's beside him, and Tom's like texting away, just like absolutely patching.
It's Tom Boyd's birthday today.
Tom's one of the guys.
Happy birthday, Tom Boyd. Good guy.
Good lad, Tom.
See his goal against Estonia for Scotland today.
Tom Boyd.
How's that come up on?
Not seen it. Let's round off with, I suppose, just a kind of final point on it. There's, as I mentioned before, an impasse, right? We're at a real, I don't know moment, real standoff. And I don't think the Desmonds are selling up anytime soon. And I don't think the collective are meeting tonight, Monday night, and we'll see what the maybe decisions or thoughts are on the back of that, any minutes that are released from that. But I don't think there's any appetite for the collective and others to stand down, and the Lawwells are going nowhere. So what do you get? And there's no middle ground. There's no middleman.
I think it needs mediation. That's what I think it does. But who's going to come at the pack?
No, I don't think they'll. I think the lockdown will happen. Shutters will come down. But the thing is, the problems won't go away if they lock it down, right? So the problems are what the problems are. I think where we're at now, like Celtic fans en masse giving up their season tickets, unthinkable. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think a lot more folk are thinking, what's the point? At a very minimum, that Gerald Ratner statement for Desmond around Europe should see zero.
Ross Desmond.
Ross Desmond. What did I say?
Desmond.
I'm
just trying to work out what one.
Should see zero European ticket sales, and then you start to get to the point that we're going, right, we now need to change, and then it's too late because you're right into that implosive situation.
What was it again?
So what?
His stuff wasn't very good.
He said his jewellery was crap.
That was
right, and you're meant to just go in and buy that crap. So I think if Celtic have got any sense, questionable, what they should be doing if they do the lockdown, which I think they will do.
What is the lockdown?
Pull down the shirt saying, I'm not talking to you anyway, don't need to talk to you till next year, the
right,
AGM,
so
see you later.
So don't communicate.
No engagement, nothing, right? So you kind of where you are anyway. Just the last one was just 6 October sitting in line to you anyway, so kind of what's the point?
Yeah.
So shutters come down, but they do, the point is certainly been made and it's not been lost upon them that things need to change. So they can go and start to put your structure in place, they can start to put proper transfer structures in place. The thing is, their only way to win this, or at least get the noise down to a point that it's not a screaming problem, is to win games of football, put thrilling football in the park, progress in Europe. So everyone might get what they want in the end, but there'll be no fun in it,
That's been a lot of the chat from Friday. It's just the joy has been sucked out of following Celtic, and I suppose you've got a situation where there's two strong-headed parties, right? Butting heads at this moment in time, and they both want and need the win. None of the two opposing parties look willing to back down in any way, shape, or form, and I just don't understand how you can ever get a result.
Say just one thing on that, because it's been on my mind since Friday. Everyone is tactics, no strategy. They want to win today. They don't want to put something in place for 3, 5, 10
Long
years'
term.
time.
What does a win look like for both sides?
I don't know.
That's the big
massive question.
I think from a fan perspective, the shock and awe route, I don't think is going to work, and it will have to be constructive. But like you rightly say, James, as I utter those words, what I'm also very, very conscious of is you try to go down the more corporate, constructive route, you're actually just getting lied to. And we have been lied to.
If you try and have open dialogue, for example,
you're just getting lied to, and we've been lied to through statements. Even the condescending nature of the statements that have been put out, the way that Ross Desmond spoke, the chat GPT thing that was going on about, blatantly misleading you around what financial fair play was about. It was absolute nonsense, and that is the mentality. That is the thought process around how the fans and shareholders, it now appears, are viewed.
Can they shut them up?
So that impasse you mentioned, the gap that exists between both, as long as the Desmonds are there, it's never going to change, because their view of us as a group of fans is never going to change. They just want you to shut up, pay your money, turn up and back the team. And if you're in any doubt, we'll just bring out a new Henrik Larsson related item, whether it's clothing, DVD, book, whatever.
That is the thing, though.
You say it's unbridgeable?
But for something to change, somebody needs to change in terms of their mindset, and the club don't look like they're changing anytime soon with Dermot Desmond at the helm. And I think the fans have made their position really clear. So the whole thing, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
But why would the fans change though? Because
they can't.
I don't think they should or will. But
why would they change when they've clearly been lied to?
Yeah, they're also in the right. They're looking after the best interests of the club as fans.
We spoke on this show a few weeks ago, and you were saying that if a new appointment to a manager, you maybe see things start to die down, and I said, but it can, and that was just as a fan speaking. But you were saying it might naturally will
keep the temperature up.
Aye, but I do think that they have generally just, honestly, they've just poured petrol over themselves as a board. They really have with that statement.
Any manager coming in under this.
We'll get to that, because I've asked that question this morning. If it's Wilfried Nancy, which it looks like, he must be viewing this from afar going, What's going on?
Well, you
over
can
there?
understand why there's a delay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's close off on all of this stuff for now. As mentioned, I was on with Paul John and Axum on Friday.
Stop talking about that.
Episode of that title was What Went Wrong with
My
the
mate
AGM.
Paul John.
You can now view that on our Patreon and on Axum's YouTube channel. And also you can check out all our additional content on Patreon at patreon.com/Celtic Exchange. Some light relief. Do you like Celtic quizzes?
Yes.
No.
Do you and Paul John call each other bro?
Fist bump.
So
Is it happening, bro?
I tell you, we've done. Last week we ditched the 5 questions and we went for a bit of Celtic trivia. I'm not doing that again because I tell you why. Last week's question. Wait to hear it. Last week's question. If appointed, Wilfried Nancy would become our first French manager. But since Stéphane Mahe joined Celtic in summer '97, how many permanent French players have Celtic had on their books? And that's where it all went pear-shaped.
Yeah.
I got confused and caught up in some John Joe Perry Doumbé, born in Paris but played for Cameroon. Olivier
Edward.
Cham was doing the same to me.
Probably like the hardest country to do it
Didi
for.
Agat was born in
Reunion.
Reunion, blah, blah, blah. So I had answers ranging between 3 players and 15 players and everything else in
You're all
between.
right.
So everybody's correct and well done to everyone that took
Aye, well done, guys.
This week I've got
Is it a quiz on the Articles of Association, like 17.2b? And so
It is not.
You've got to start studying these things.
a more straightforward Celtic-based trivia question. Ready?
Squad number quiz.
No pens and paper required. Which member of Celtic's current squad, and if you know the answer, don't shout out, but to the listeners, which member of Celtic's
You're
current
like, don't tell me
squad
the answers.
is the only player to have played in the semi-finals of the European Championships and when?
Watch current Celtic player.
Correct. So,
I got it.
we'll let people think about it. You can tell me after the show. But as always, we'll reveal the answer in next week's show. The first 5 listeners to get in touch with the right answer will win a month free of our Patreon. You can email your answer to Tino at thecelticexchange.com or send us a DM on Twitter or Instagram. Our Patreon channel is the only place where you can enjoy our additional bonus episodes each and every week, including pre- and post-match shows for every Celtic game, the daily podcast every midweek morning, plus our exclusive members-only Celtic chat community. Check it all out at patreon.com/Celtic Exchange. Do you need water?
Yeah, be nice.
Let's get Miff some water and carry on. Sky Sports reporting tonight, Monday night, that talks with Wilfried Nancy are now at an advanced stage. He is likely to start on the 1st of December, which is a week today.
Très bien.
And there's a few things at play there. There's a suggestion that it will give time to get the full backroom team in and you announce the full management team at the one time. There is a suggestion, I don't know how true it is or not, that if Celtic make the announcement in December, there's less compensation to pay for all these
That
guys.
sounds quite Celtic-y.
A bit Celtic
On
indeed.
brand.
And the last thing is, and this is a modern football thing, it allows them to start with a home game against Dundee and not to take on the 2 tricky ties of Feyenoord on Thursday and Hibs at Easter Road on Sunday. I don't agree with that, but it is a thing that you see in modern management, isn't it?
I don't know. The Van Bronckhorst move, you know.
Aye, but it's a thing that happens,
If
isn't
you're the
it?
gaffer, you're the gaffer. That's it. You know.
So maybe they're thinking they don't want to come in and have 2 questionable results on his CV before he's even properly started.
I would be careful with that narrative from us, and the reason I say that.
Why not appoint him today then?
No, but
I think the
What's that?
backroom.
Oh,
We can save.
do you want to
We
go,
can save
do you want to go
25
back to the
grand.
first part of the
I'll
show?
just wait till December.
Keep in mind that we're 4 weeks down for Brendan Rodgers, so it's not like we've rushed anything here.
Yeah.
No, I know, but like, I think that there will be an element of him being able to get out his contract with Columbus Crew. Celtic probably not wanting to pay compensation that they have to pay and try to negotiate that down as well. I just think we don't need to set the record of that straight away. Oh, he's not been in for the Feyenoord game, which we could easily lose, and not been in for the Hibs game. I think we need to.
If everyone really wanted it to happen, he could win today.
Martin O'Neill is in dire need of an Orchid tour to Strathpeffer.
But hang on, Tino, you're saying that as if it's a football club that's operating in a correct fashion, which
Maybe
is not.
so, maybe so.
I don't see if it's like a 500 grand saved by waiting a week. I'm not wildly against that.
The old board apologist.
Wait a minute.
Pistol James there.
You'll be getting a call
We'll be
from
wearing
Desmond
a
saying,
Gant shirt next week.
James is.
No, they'll obviously take that 500 grand and
Jeez.
give us all discounts in our season tickets. That's what'll happen. You know.
£50
Aye.
vouchers for the Superstore.
I will get that pre-season friendly back in the season book.
Just, it's obviously a hypothetical now, but could you imagine if they'd got Wilfried Nancy in time for the AGM and he was sitting at the top table like
Lights. Just swinging off the lights and everything. Like, what the hell have I joined here?
Why are they showing you that I'd cared?
Wilfried at school.
Aye.
So that would have
School,
been,
bro.
that would have been Bedlam. That said, even though he wasn't at the AGM, he's got the internet wherever he is in the world, and I'm sure he's seen some of this, so we'll see. Paddy, I know we've kind of covered a bit of it last week and whatever, but where are you at 7 days further on Wilfried Nancy? Are you more excited? Are you unsure? Is it a good appointment? Is it a question mark? Where are you at?
It's a question mark. Of course it is.
gamble,
I've like to think that I've got a good understanding of some of the stuff in the MLS by watching it over the years. Again, Ronnie Dyler fanboy, so just watched him do his thing with New York. But to say that I've got an understanding of how Columbus Crew play, no, absolutely not. I don't think a lot of us do. We hope that the theory is that he is getting some good recommendations from people across football. I don't think you do well in that league unless you've got something about you, and I do think it's such a difficult league to play in. I can tell you that side of it.
It's geared up to be very competitive, so no team can hugely outspend another team. You've got wage caps, you can only have 3 designated players, so you can't go and sign the best players. You can sign 3 of the best players in the world, you can't sign any more than that. You've got to play so many youth players, etc., etc. It's designed to be competitive by its nature.
People will talk about the quality of it as well. I don't think it's a manager that's out playing football. It's a manager setting up his players with the best of their ability and how they go and compete in the game as well. And I think, by all accounts, it's an interesting style of play. Will it work here? We'll find out. He's not got a lot of time in terms of the games that are coming up in December as well.
The position we're in.
So I wonder if he maybe just sticks to a little bit of familiarity to begin with.
That was my question. So he quite notably plays a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1, which is a shift from what we're doing at this moment in time. So here's a question. If he does come in time for Dundee next Wednesday, should he try and deploy that right away? Or should he just slightly tweak the 4-3-3-ish that we're going with?
I could see Tierney going into a back 3. Could see it.
Yeah.
When I got 3 left-footed centre halves though.
And you need 2 defensive midfielders, so is that McGregor
Engels
and
and
McGregor?
I could see that.
Yeah. You need some right wingers.
Need some players, Tino.
Get rid of that. No right wingers.
It's no.
What would you do?
Jai Simpson-Pusey can go right wing.
Jemai Simpson-Pusey in for 1 week, completely patched in it.
Weird.
What do you do if you're a coach? Do you just go in at this moment in time, very much mid-season?
4-4-2, get it in the mix-up.
Right, okay. play up to the
Channel
big guy.
channel bot, work off it,
Little
work off scraps,
Big guy,
push
guy.
up high,
Scales lump.
keep it tight first 15, win your battles, then we play football.
Back to goal guy. Yeah.
So, at the moment, based on that, he has got a pretty tough opening half dozen games or so. So, what will be in terms of Feyenoord on Thursday. We'll chat to you in a minute about that. And Hibs on Sunday.
Yeah.
But Nancy's opening 6 games if all plays out. Dundee at home in the Scottish Premiership. You've got to win that. Yeah. If you've got any ambitions.
Didn't win last time.
Well, we're at home this time.
What about Stephen Presley with that hat on?
Oh, man.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
I love him, man. I
He
love
looks
him.
nuts.
I love
I've
him.
not, what's
We'll
the
put
hat
it in the
on?
chat tonight.
Some look.
He's
Is he taking the
brilliant.
piss
He's
out of
brilliant.
everybody?
He's brilliant.
Take the piss out
100%.
yourself.
Right.
I love
100%.
Presley. He's great.
He's brilliant.
So he'll be at Celtic Park next Wednesday, hat or otherwise. We then take on Hearts at home, Roma at home, match day 6 of the Europa, St Mirren in the cup final, Dundee United away, Aberdeen at home. Different challenges in different ways, but it's a pretty relentless schedule. We know we've got 10 games in total between now and the turn of the year. It's no easy task.
Is this another one of your infamous batches of games that are going to
We can
define
win all
your
of these,
season? That
Smith.
we're going to win every single
We
one
can
of.
win all of these,
Yeah,
Jay.
just leave here going, there is no jeopardy involved.
Not at all. Not at all.
We just turn up, we win every game, it's fine.
Everyone's
Absolutely fine.
gospel in this show.
Aye.
See,
Never mind all that tumultuous stuff that's been on at the start of the season. These next 6 games, we'll win all of them, we'll be fine. Qualified for the Europa League, back to the
Why
top
not?
of the league. Everything's got to be fine. Come January, we're going to sign 6 players. Everything's fine. What's the problem?
He's broken. He's fine.
What's the problem?
that's my God. Paddy, I'll come to you for a more serious answer. What do you think? So it is a tall order, and actually the availability, the squad has been invested in poorly, so you don't have the options you should have, and we've got a hell of an injury list which cripples that further. And it doesn't matter if it's Wilfried Nancy or anyone else, it's a tall order to get a tune out of these players at least until January, and who knows what Celtic will do in January.
Huge, and it ties in kind of with what I was hoping to talk about with some of the narrative from the media lately, sports scene on Saturday night, and then some of the chat on the radio yesterday as well about this narrative that everyone's at lockerheads and even the fans are against the team at the moment.
No,
absolute tosh, like complete tosh. We're very much for the team. We're supporting everything about it. Martin O'Neill, I think the fans have been. It's been such a lovely thing to see him back in the dugout again. The unity between the fans and the players is there. Considering how poor that team is just now, it's brilliant to see getting that late winner on Saturday as well. People saying, "Oh, McGregor tried to build bridges with that celebration." Stephen Thompson, have a listen to it. It's
what do you mean?
basically saying
over-celebrating
over celebrating with him to try and kind of sort out the smell between
Just scored
them.
the last minute winner.
Exactly.
What he did do though, after the whistle, I think he was trying to galvanise
Galvanise,
fans.
yeah,
I think that's
Which
okay though.
absolutely fine, but they're trying to paint a different light
long as it's not
on the
Nigel.
club altogether.
No fan.
Benji, just stone it back, kid.
But the big point I'm going to make on that, we need to remember this though, if it does go wrong in those 6 games, there's likely going to be a result that doesn't go our way in those 6 games under our new manager. That this is what he is working with, and it is not a good setup. This is what the board has failed on this summer. And actually, we speak about it last week. Do you give the guy to the end of the season if he fails to win the league? Is that it? Absolutely not. He's got a rebuild.
This is a debate.
He's got a rebuild.
This is a debate you've been having with some of the boys. That so if Nancy comes in and doesn't win the league with this group of players, some folks would say automatically he's gone.
No.
If he comes in, shows a certain style of play and a certain flair, and kind of has us going in the right direction, but doesn't win the league, you think he stays on?
Absolutely. If it's an absolute gunfire, then of course we'll know that. But I think you've got to give him his chance, his stamp of authority to build his team. That is no one's team. That's a
the back before the end of the game, Donovan, Murray, Trusty, Skills at left back.
You Dengels at right back before he went off as
there
well.
you go.
There's
all over the place, isn't it?
There's times for each of those 4 players where they wouldn't have been had by any fan. It
took me back,
you know, for all 4 of them.
Took me back to St Mirren, Owen Moffat starting for Andrew and all that, but just like
put the ball out to get the cross in for Tony Nelson to score it. Ross County.
There you go.
Played his part.
Good man.
There's those half dozen games that Nancy would face. Before that, of course, we get these 2 tough games this week. You're heading out to Feyenoord. What's the plans? You're heading out on Wednesday?
Aye. Well,
It's a mad agenda, isn't it?
As a bit. We're setting off on Wednesday down to Newcastle for the ferry over to...
Leaving the car?
In Amsterdam, and then we're going to get the train from Amsterdam to Rotterdam. I'll get obviously a few scoops.
Seems changeable.
And then on the way home on the Friday, we're back in Glasgow on the Saturday morning. So
Are Celtic going to win?
I think they will.
Do you?
Actually, I genuinely think that's a ropey. Oh, lads, come on, a bit of optimism.
I'm not ugly he was full of the joys.
Aye, no, but I actually think we will. I've got a feeling that Anil will put something into this set of players just to sign off. If this is his final European game for Celtic, wee Stevie's track record is still shocking as well. That we're going over. Aye, still never seen them win.
If you leave him in Amsterdam, you get a chance.
Right, that's it. And I think like the massive one for me is we don't know what Celtic's kind of showing up. We're seeing some great performances and we're seeing some really poor ones that we've seen on Saturday.
Because let's not dress up. Great to get the late winner. Saturday was awful.
Aye,
it was a hard watch.
And it was certainly
really
the worst.
bad.
It was certainly the worst since O'Neill and Maloney took over. Potentially one of the worst of the season though. It was a turgid display. We didn't have a shot on target, I think, till the goal.
Yeah.
Which is woeful.
But
and there is, I heard Luke McCowan talking, the players are well aware of all this noise. It's not like they can just switch off from it. They can say those words, we just need to focus on our own job. It is there, and it's all around anybody involved in Celtic right now. Just in terms of Feyenoord, they're now 4 points off the top of the table. Can't remember who's top, but it's not them. And we think we're having a bad Europa League run. They've got less points than us. They've got 3 points out of their 4 games.
You
We've
beat
got 4.
home 3-0 or something.
4-2 yesterday.
4-2 yesterday.
And
By NEC.
NEC, they also they've got part of their stadium closed.
Aye, for
on the
the
game on
nonsense,
Thursday as well. So, telling you, written in the stars for Martin O'Neill.
Signs are there. You're obviously not
our stellar away record in Europe's given me a lot of confidence.
the patterns are there.
We good teams, good managers. Good
all
manager,
right.
but a temporary manager.
Let's move on from Feyenoord and safe travels. Enjoy yourself out there. Will we beat Hibs on Sunday at Easter Road?
Yes.
What gives you the confidence on that one?
One thing domestically we seem to be doing is producing results despite maybe some indifferent performances. So we're on a wee bit of run with regards to that. So I'm very hopeful that will continue. It is more than hope than absolute
expectation. Asim, good friend of the show, and he's been in here several times. He suggested around about a month ago that the Hearts bubble would burst and that by the turn of the year they would slip to third. And he maintained at that point that Rangers would still be the biggest threat. He got a lot of backlash off a lot of Celtic fans for that. It's looking more and more likely that's going to be the case.
As long as Beaton's in the VAR room, they should keep climbing that table.
That's mental.
Yeah.
Just making stuff up.
Mental.
That was a badge.
Interesting to see what Colin does about that one. You know, guy's been fired for less. Blatant stuff.
What did they say this could be his doogie moment?
Just saying that he's even, it was a bit chest coming across the guy. Just made up nonsense.
Wild.
Sunday. David Gray's interesting because typically tries to play football, but against us he can revert to a Livy type setup. So certainly no gimme there. They need to be up for it. I don't think they went up for it on Saturday night, but it's hard going, you know. And Robinson is one of the best at it, you know. So
Aye,
I think
yes.
need to give the props to St Mirren. They
Yeah,
have
yeah,
improved
stuck to
year on
task.
year.
But they also came out, you know, when they get their chances, they came out to pushes as well. It wasn't like they were just encamped.
Here's a real football question at this moment in time. Don't like to focus on any one individual, but I think we're really, really weak down Tony Ralston's right-hand side. And I actually think he's regressing a bit. I was chatting to Paddy earlier on.
Aye.
He's really struggling. And any team looking at us just now, Hibs, Feyenoord or
That's
otherwise,
the target.
it'd be madness not to focus on that. It's such a weak area of what we're doing.
I think, yeah, I agree. And I was talking about it to Kush on Saturday night. See when Tony Ralston looks up, what's in front of him?
Yeah.
What's his options?
Well, before all of that, before you look up, see just in terms of being a right back and stopping the cross, that is his number one job.
I know.
I thought
the one
Declan
that came
John-
in.
See the one that
shouldn't
came
have
in,
been
he
near
led with his left foot
Yeah.
instead of coming across with your right foot and blocking the cross. It was just really strange. And he's a guy who you'd think he's played a lot of games for Celtic now, and he's a well-established international footballer, played a lot of games for Scotland. He doesn't seem to have been proven.
No, I agree. I mean, it's just my default position to back the bricky, but I agree. I think he is regressing, but I would like to see improved options for him as his playing partners before you could just write him off.
I agree. When he does go forward, Maeda's clearly not having that right wing position.
No.
He's just not embracing it. He's basically saying, I'm not good at here, lads. Give me it if you want. I'm just going to play it back into the midfield. And that's a shift for Tony Ralston. I get that. But I think he's got to do some of the basics a bit better. But I do think it's a weakness. And it's not Tony Ralston's fault that he's currently the best right back at the club, if you want to look at that, in the same way that Greg Taylor found himself.
Playing with
getting
different centre
some
halves as well. You know, there's a whole thing
Yeah,
in that.
that's
And a
true.
left-footed right centre
It's
half.
so unsettled.
True,
So unsettled
that's
this
true.
season.
Just in terms of the bigger picture then, and you know the question about Hearts and has their bubble burst, they've now only won one of their last four league games. They won one, drawn two, they get beat off Aberdeen there yesterday. They're currently on 30 points, Celtic are 4 points behind on 26 with a game in hand. And then Rangers and Hibs are both on 21 and Rangers too have a game in hand on Hearts. And you would wonder, I don't really know much of what Rangers are doing just now, and they've sacked Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell. But do you think they may well get their house in order and you'll end up with a natural order of Celtic first and Rangers second?
I think budgets should dictate that, but
No, if you're spending that money on Chermite.
I know. That kind of stuff will get you fired.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they were poor. I'm not sure what I've seen in the second half maybe of their game.
Aye.
They were very, very poor. Libby very unlucky. There was one the boy went through and goal, should have put it away
Should
really.
have.
One each.
Aye.
And then obviously they should have a penalty. So they huffed and puffed
Yep.
to beat Livy at home. So I don't think much has changed there. And certainly bagging your whatever Thelwell was and your chief exec, it's not stability.
No,
you know?
true. But it might lead to better people coming in those jobs, although that can't happen immediately, so there'll be
No, it's a
time.
long
We'll
time
need to wait and see. I watched bits of Hearts v Aberdeen.
Yeah,
And then, do you know what? And I watched Hearts against us. There's nothing great about them.
No.
Braga's a good player. And the guy Kizzarid is a good player, and obviously Shankland was
Temperament
missing
problem.
yesterday.
Aye.
You wind him up, temperament problem.
They're just not great. I think that they're probably better than what they were. And
They should have scored.
And
They should have taken the lead against Aberdeen. I think there's a few chances in the first half, but
just overall, they're
Aberdeen are poor this season.
Shankland's
as
their
well.
talisman.
I know. And under Tony Bloom, Hearts, I think, will continue to get better. I just think it's come too soon. I don't think they're ready at all.
I think when Dell come away with his injury time comment, that was a wee...
A sign of the
Like,
cracks.
it was a
wasn't
blink.
it?
Oh, he looked brilliant yesterday. It was brilliant.
Nobody to blame but yourself.
Yep.
Okay, but just to move on, Hearts
Up you.
seem to be struggling. We'll need to see what Celtic do this week. A couple of things coming up this week. On Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm recording a special episode with Jim Orr and Des McLean, the comedian Des McLean, talking about the return of And If You Know the History, the play that they're both involved in. And as part of that, we'll compare and contrast the times that they talk about in the 90s and now, and what's the same and what's different. On Wednesday, we'll do a countdown to kick-off show with Greg Harvey ahead of the Feyenoord game. On Thursday, final whistle show live from Rotterdam with Paddy.
Tune into that one, mate.
keep it posted on that. But as always, all of these shows will be available on our Patreon at patreon.com/Celtic Exchange. Lads, busy show, a lot of nonsense going on, lots happening on and off the park. James, your final thoughts for the week?
It's all fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
The dog with the fire. Have you seen the weekend?
This is
Aye,
fine.
aye.
I'm fine.
Aye,
This is
aye.
fine.
I'm fine.
just keep. Yeah, McGregor said after the game on Saturday night, he's got to keep winning games of football. While all this pish is going on in the background, just as we are, to your point, Paddy, backing the manager, backing the team, keep winning games of football, and see if the maniacs at the top actually do something while, not talking to the fans, but maybe actually taking action in the background. And, it could be an exciting period getting the new manager in as well, whatever that might bring in terms of structure.
Yeah, I think the worry is we're 5 weeks away from a transfer window, and we don't not only need to strengthen the squad already.
The Doc's got it sorted, man.
We'll see.
Because Rodgers was stopping him by all these players, and he could just go and buy them all.
Well, that's the line we've been given. But the big issue is that we're realising the injuries this season as well. Carter Vickers out to the end of the season.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we're really on top of.
I don't know if I've seen Vickers again.
What about Alston centre half?
No.
On the right hand side.
I don't think he's quick enough.
Nah.
Don't think he's quick enough.
He's aggressive,
but yeah, it is funny. And I can understand. There's this big push towards let's just get to January. You couldn't be convinced that we're going to do the business we need to do in January, could you?
We could be sitting here in this studio, 31st of January, going, "Oh, we must be signing all the players now then."
How many times have we given them the
There's
benefit
still 3 hours left of the
like
window.
myself included.
That was a painful one, but I gave them benefit of the doubt. Remember saying the pain score was 2. It's like, can go up quite quickly.
I was like, come on!
Any closing words?
Just fine, aye.
Fine, it's all good. See you in Rotterdam. My final word goes to you.
Everything's fine, bro. What's the problem?
Unsatisfactory.
I mean, 6 games coming up, we're going to win them all. It's like, it's cool. No, I think it all defaults back to the football. That's in the main what we're interested in, and we really could be doing with a wee. It would be really, really nice for Martin O'Neill for getting a wee victory in Europe just to sign off on. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. And if that's the thing that can galvanise the players to give us that kind of benchmark performance that we're looking for, then I'm all for it. So please do it. But in the meantime, I think domestic matters are absolutely the priority. Albeit 3 points and Thursday night would put you exactly where you need to be.
Would you sacrifice a win on Thursday?
I want it all. See that nonsense? You need to pick.
No,
what one of your horns you want chopped off, your right or your left? Now you're all right, mate.
Do you want a kick in? No.
I know, aye. What one of your horns? I said hands. I said hands. No, I see all that. I hate that.
Right.
I hate that.
I mean,
but
in
answer to your question, I was ready to swear there. Europe could take a back seat for this season only.
Okay.
For this season only.
Even though we could potentially win it.
To progress.
That's us on the latest episode of Celtic Exchange Weekly. Thanks to James, Paddy and Miff for being here, but most importantly, thanks to you for continuing to support Celtic Exchange. Remember to check out patreon.com/Celtic Exchange for exclusive access to all of our extra content. And if you think you know the answer to this week's trivia question, like Paddy does, then get in touch to win a month of our Patreon for free. But all that aside, have a brilliant week. We'll see you back soon for the next one.